Alpha, trail left, half 11.6. Bravo, lead.
The Indian Air Force requires dedicated professionals to carry out a wide spectrum of tasks and has evolved the requisite training infrastructure and techniques to meet the multifarious requirements. The Air Force is at the forefront of technology's cutting edge. The inherent strengths of aerospace power make its platform the delivery method of choice for employing technology in its various avatars. The flexibility of air power allows for a tailored, quick and appropriate response using a variety of systems to achieve national objectives. Some of these delivery platforms of the future would need to incorporate stealth, including not only aircraft and missiles, but also the capability to make the enemy ineffective through various electronic countermeasure systems. Various indigenous organizations work round the clock on aircraft, weapons and systems to keep the Air Force contemporary. The Aircraft and Systems Testing Establishment is a dedicated test center that undertakes flight evaluation of all aircraft prior to their induction into service, be they of helicopter, fighter or transport streams. In order to enhance the operational potential of the existing aircraft of the IAF, AST also undertakes flight testing for evaluation and integration of various advanced weapons and other airborne systems. It also undertakes flight testing on behalf of HAL and other DRDO establishments. Sea control for a nation with such a massive coastline is of critical importance. The defense of this long boundary and the ability to launch shore-based maritime strikes are also important Air Force tasks today. The potential and operational value of shore-based aircraft in a maritime role is even more relevant today than it has ever been. Rapid mobilization is perhaps the key to launch maritime strikes, and these aircraft contribute significantly to deter any threat from the sea. Squadrons are especially trained and equipped for a maritime role, and these often operate in conjunction with the Indian Navy. Success in modern warfare depends on joint teamwork. Battles are won by all the services operating effectively together. In the Arabian Sea, the Lakshadweep Islands lie about 200 nautical miles from the Malabar coast and are strategically so situated that they overlook two important shipping lanes originating from the Gulf of Aden and Oman to Colombo and the Far East. Similarly, on the eastern seaboard, the northern chain of these islands comprises of the North, Middle and South Andaman Islands. There are also two isolated islands, the Little Andaman and the Car Nicobar, which is the main IAF base. The 10-degree channel separates the Southern Nicobar group from the Northern Andaman group. Surrounded by Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, Myanmar, Bangladesh and the mainland, the Andaman and Nicobar Islands are of particular strategic importance as they sit astride one of the busiest focal points, the Malacca Straits. Joint warfare has two critical elements. First is planning and the second, execution. There can be no doubt about the fact that joint planning in times of war is an absolute necessity, for it provides multiple options and is a much better way towards achieving operational objectives. Physical joint execution of warfare, especially between the Army and the Air Force, is restricted to a small but extremely important portion of the overall air effort. The existing organization and structure has proved to be fairly effective, both in 1971 and the more recent Kargil War in 1999. With one of the most dramatic natural frontiers to contend with, the ground forces are almost entirely limited by the amount of logistic support that can be provided by surface means. Many of these outposts are supplied and sustained by only air logistics, which are in turn hampered by weather associated with the high mountain reaches. Offensive action on the ground is limited by the quantum of force which can be brought to bear, and even critical elements like artillery have limitations of mobility and sighting targets. Armor is virtually not usable in such terrain. On the Indian side, especially in the east, our surface border communication arteries run along the valleys in a generally north-south direction without lateral links. Not just the army, but entire civil populations in certain regions of the northeast are largely dependent on air logistical support for their day-to-day existence. The road density in Arunachal Pradesh, for example, is only 17 kilometers against the national average of 73 kilometers per 100 square kilometers. These indispensable air-dropping operations are further complicated by the harshness of the terrain and the unpredictable weather conditions, which make flying a hazardous occupation in these areas.